Just about 4 years ago, the world gave you a movie that told you directly you are in a simulation. So how are we going to break this down exactly for you today?
It's not your typical simulation movie or matrix movie. People think it's about different subjects, especially if they're not seeing it from a spiritual perspective.
Yeah, oftentimes the world will sabotage something inadvertently because they're so used to that programmed filter of giving it a worldly explanation. When in actuality, if they're making a simulation telling you you're in a simulation, then they want you to know you're in a simulation. It's not about feminism. It's not about these alterations on such a physical, worldly level, although that does have a part to an extent. It's really about the basis of that this reality is much more artificial than you think.
This is why this movie it's interesting, because it's a different way explaining.
Sometimes they slip one right in front of you, you know? The basis of this story is that he puts her in a simulation because the reality they're currently in together, he cannot really have such control and feel on top of the world, and the ego can't play out its dream and all of his desires and programming, so forth. So he plugs her into the simulation, and then once they're in this simulation, he can come and go every single day when he wants, but she is stuck there. And the symbolism is that the ones who have these entities working through them of greed, very more demented forces, they actually have more detachment from this realm because they know what it is, and they keep pulling the energy from the consciousness of source beings. And also, it's not just about the simulation, this movie. It has a lot to do with the demiurge, which is very parallel to that. The demiurge is actually, I would say, that demented feeling that these entities have to have control and greed over consciousness and keep siphoning it every single day. That's how valuable your consciousness is. It is the timeless gold of the universe, of the source of all life.
Are responsible for the physical upkeep of your chosen life. Yes. Are you aware that you must exit the simulation through Victory headquarters every day and return only for your allotted number of hours?
We see in the movie in the beginning that she's not questioning anything, living her life normal, a routine. There's no higher purpose or anything. And then later you see her waking up and realizing that she's in a simulation,
The more they can implant devices and technology into the consciousness of each being, the more they can fragment the consciousness, the more that they will actually retain your power and build their base further and further into the sensory awareness of every source being that is connected through this collective consciousness. You see, so the more beings that unplug from that simulation, the more we'll start to actually allow it to evaporate, and in that process there is the awakening which you'll see take place here. This man here is the one who created this simulation in the simulation, and I'll also add that he is very symbolic of the demiurge, that greed. It's really, think about it, who would have come up with the name Victory Project. It's called the Victory Project because it wants to literally claim you, and it's basically taming you at the same time, and it sweet talks you. It wants to tell you certain things. It will use your own thoughts against you. It will use your own senses against you. It will implant thoughts in you. That's all demiurge stuff. And what you have to understand is it's all about one thing: consciousness.
All the women in Victory Project are not aware. Only the men are aware that they are in the simulation. So the women are trapped here. She's the one that will start questioning everything. Yeah, as you can see here, this is where she start questioning everything around her. What is this? Is this real? Am I real? Where am I? And there's a lot of, they track them. They put them in a small, let's say, container, and they're tracking them.
The reason they keep them all in such a close container, living on basically the same street, is so that they can easily monitor the progress of each one, how they affect each other, and if anyone is starting to increase their levels of awareness. So it's really about how much they can keep these beings stagnant and not asking the right questions.
Okay, so explain, what's the Victory Project? It's the theme of this movie.
It's the place they go.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the simulation they're calling this city they live in, or this group that they are, the Victory Project, I would tell you directly that this is a symbol of how they consider their victory, their win every single day of success, to put a veil over the veil, so your veil keeps thickening, and it's to keep beings plugging into the simulation, siphoning that energy, making things seem so great, where everyone can play their part, be the ego, be comfortable, have what they need, and everything seems so great on the outside, but it's so artificial. Well, it's so it's too tangible, it's too physical, it grips you too much, like the life we've all experienced at some point in the third dimension. But eventually something in you have an internal clock, right? There's a timer, and eventually you're going to wake up and go beyond it, and then that's where you have to win yourself back. If this video is helping you awaken significantly and breaking the patterns of the simulation around you, I would appreciate it if you would donate to this channel and the work I'm doing here through the link in the description of this video. Thank you. Your belief, your habits every single day, how you decide to live your life, instead of having them forcibly plugging you into a simulation and being in a hypnosis with the appearances and the characters.
And also it's like it's preparing humanity where it's going. I feel predictive a bit, because this is how they starting step by step, by introducing the technology, Neuralink, first the phone, Neuralink. So later I have a feeling they will create a simulation inside a simulation, because they want to be in control so much. They want to be creators, which we are creators, but not driven by ego. And they introduce it a bit for humans to accept it, the same way as they created a simulation, like a VR headset, you know, which they will elaborate it and they will evolve it more into an actual simulation where you can tell what's real. This is not real.
Yeah, it's all about greed over consciousness, and everything here is tracked because it's all reporting back to the same system.
Welcome to the Victory Project. There are currently 72 active users. Your re-entry has begun.
The auspice of equality, we can fall deeper into what we know is true, that we crave.
So she's getting programmed before entering even the simulation, because this is these are the images later that they want her to have that role, the perfect wife, and doing whatever they are telling her here in the programming. And I see it also of how we get programmed while being in a womb also, because we're taking the programming before even getting programmed in this life. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's all trying to morph you into those images and let that be your basis of identity, so that it just builds from there.
But there's a certain limit they can cross, like here, like now, you know, there's certain border you can't cross, certain places you can't see unless you have permission, and she's not supposed to cross that border. But one day she decided to she knew something was fishy, something wasn't right, and she decided to explore more and to cross that boundary that they have put on her. She goes and see that dome, which is very interesting. It's a dome.
Margaret was right. She was asking questions that they don't want us to ask, and so they silenced her. She didn't slip. It wasn't an accident. I saw it happen. I saw her fall. They're lying about everything. And when I touched it, I saw something, and I keep remembering more. And I heard Frank's voice, and he's in my head.
Yeah, so when she goes to this dome and she touches the glass, there's this red light that actually kind of immerses her past the illusion, and she starts to ascend beyond the lower levels that they've kept her on. And that's why she said there she starts remembering more and more. And what she is remembering is the fact that this is not the true life, this is not your original place, and you're not even this identity that they have forcibly made you believe yourself to be as just another role.
And it's also symbolism of reincarnation. Once we die, we forget again. It's the veil. She's in that phase where the veil is removed, because she's remembering stuff, from her old life, which was before he took her to that victory place, the victory project.
Incredible.
There are only so many different stories that we're told. We're told what we remember until we try to remember things that they want us to forget.
Then once she starts to remember and confront this demiurge entity in front of the others, you're going to see how the entity makes a play against her, using her words against her. Basically just the same mechanism they're always using to keep their system going, which is a false light projection. Basically a play on your presence, a play on your openness, a play on the consciousness to try and distort your perception as much as possible.
Area, we saw these issues with Margaret and know that it's completely curable. Dr. Collins prescribed you a suite of medications which you were clearly not taking. The question is why?
He's lying to us. He's lying to all of us.
How he's seeing, they call everyone who sees the truth, everyone that wanna say something that is a bit different from what society's been conditioned, they throw the word mental illness. And who knows how many beings they've been put away is because they were able to see stuff no one was able to see.
Because their veil dropped away so much.
Yeah.
The veil became so thin that you're seeing.
And they made them look crazy and they put them away.
Right, yeah.
Silenced them. The reason why also I feel like most of the humans we see are fabricated fake consciousness is not because I wanna just like lower them, but it's just my observation, because after everything we went through until now, everything we've seen, all these conspiracies they made fun of, they are proven that they are right, and still some people are denying it. So it's like an endless loop, and it's not gonna stop. I feel like they create fake consciousness so it always fuel the system, and it'll keep going on and on.
He's trying to create a world.
If you want to articulate your own
He's
argument,
using
try
us.
using your
He's using
own
all of
words,
us.
Alice. In
What's
your
in this
own
food?
words.
Let's talk about that. Where did it come from?
Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm
Let's
sorry.
just think about it.
I'm sorry.
Victory milk,
This-
victory meat,
this is
victory
an anomaly.
eggs. It all
It doesn't
comes
usually
from
happen.
him.
She's very sick, and she won't
Everything
get
we
the
are
help that
told,
she needs. I promise
everything
you.
we are given comes from him. And it's all about control. It's all about control. We wouldn't even know he might be poisoning the food.
Yeah, this is her basically just coming to the realization that everything is manufactured from that same system. Where is it coming from? So many things here we don't ask the questions. And, when someone starts becoming so hyper aware, they're going to shine a light on so many things at once, and then the entity will just project things back saying, I'm sorry, everyone. She needs help. And all she's doing really is asking questions. Where does it come from? Because it's all labeled a certain way. It's all consistent with that same system they're living in, and it's almost as though it's inducing them into more density with these more programmed habitual consumption habits, which also the simulation that we're experiencing now shares a lot of. I'm not going to go deeper into that right now, but people are conditioned to consume things that are not for their spirit, but is to actually make them more stuck in the third dimension.
Yeah, everything that system provides, we have even to teach our kids to start depending more everything outside the system, trying to us create, because the only time that system will provide is just to control. Everything they provide is just for control and to make us more asleep.
So you're saying we should grow everything ourselves?
I mean, it's not the easiest way, but
It's what the new earth will look like.
yeah, usually
Yeah.
the easiest way are not good for the soul. When something is too easy, usually it doesn't.
Said like a proper Virgo.
This is Alice. What's interesting is it's the same theme as Alice in Wonderland. She goes into the rabbit hole, and there's another character named Bunny, her friend, that also helps her in an indirect way like Alice in Wonderland,
Following
the rabbit hole. And it's the same pattern in spiritual awakening, where you have to deny or ignore the conditioning of what they've told you. You have to break it so you can be free. It start not even spiritual sometimes. It start with rebellion against either your family, the rules that they've put on you, or the old identity, always trying to act different than what they expect you to.
This is the part towards the end where she starts awakening very deeply, and the environment starts to malfunction essentially around her, because the consciousness is sending out a signal that's starting to actually make other beings notice that she's dropping all these patterns, all the illusion, each forced belief that was conditioned, and that's just altering the frequency and altering the environment. Now she gets right up to that dome again, and she's back there for the second time. She's going to exit, and let's see what happens while she's trying to get out. So then you see the system send a projection of him. It's not really him, saying, "Don't leave me," right when she's about to exit. I would say that's symbolic of what they do when beings are basically forced to reincarnate, because they use these images against you, which you've heard me say other times on this channel. And, it's all about awakening the consciousness and taking yourself to a higher perception beyond the veil. So if your awareness is so pristine, if your consciousness is so refined, which is what I do with clients frequently, what this does is essentially just make it to where they can't trick you anymore, and you live your life in freedom in your own existence with the source. And that's the new earth, becoming in harmony, where these beings, all of us, are starting to have that conscious reflection of the truth beyond these appearances, beyond the old paradigm. If you want help awakening further, you can contact me through the email in the description of this video for a one-on-one session.
As you said here, guilt, shame, sometimes it can be used for reincarnation. Like here, like, don't leave me. Like we're married. We're supposed to stay together. It's like a guilt. Everything that you didn't ascend on this life can be used later. That guilt, attachment, any kind of attachment can be used as a reincarnation trap.
I would say this is her final test. So the victory project is what? When do they want the victory? When do they want to win? At any point, but especially right at the end, when you're at the precipice of exiting, you're clicking exit. The veil isn't just thinned completely. You're also literally ascending to somewhere higher, where you're actually fully awakened, and that's when these final big tests will come through. That's why when the soul exits the body, the energy exits the body, they got to get you quick.
Yeah, but will she be able to exit this simulation? We won't spoil.
You should go watch it at least once. And if you've seen it already before, maybe you were watching it a bit with a worldly lens from conditioning of other projections of these simulated characters around you, or whatever notion they put you into. So now you can watch it with more awareness and see it from the eyes of truth, and then you'll see a lot more deeper symbolism. That's why movies like this are quite the enhancement to your awakening. A lot of this has to do with the distortion that has been placed on the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Especially this simulation movie targets the divine feminine because of that creator spark, and they want to claim it.
Yeah, it's the same pattern to the Matrix movie, where they separate the divine feminine from the divine masculine. Neo, in part 3, not the first part, he got separated, and they are fighting. In the Matrix, they are trying to
keep them separate.
Yeah, it's a theme in this world also. They try to they built a system on making the woman and man separated, because they don't want this, because it can cause a great awakening.
Both are awake, then it's real trouble for the simulation. It can't hold both. It's got to be one that's working with him. So in this case, he has that lower energy working through him, while she is more of that like presence that's being diluted into that demented scene. They need both, and they already have him because he gave himself to that system, but they also need her because this is going to further induce the recreation, reincarnation, all that symbolism of what? The energy spiraling endlessly into the oblivion while they're keeping hold of it, restructuring that divine spark in their own preferred format, which is then their siphoning system.